Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. It is Transformation Tuesday here at Des 360. Um, you know by now that typically on Tuesdays I go live and I share 5 tips in 15 minutes. Hey, Tamisha, thank you for joining me. Go ahead and hit the share button on this one. I want to make sure that this word gets out because I think I figured out what your problem is. And it's not just your problem, it's some of your friends and family members' problems as well. So I want to go ahead and speak to as many people as I can in addressing this problem. So typically I give you 5 tips for life transformation in 15 minutes. But today, in light of everything that is going on, in light of everything that has transpired, in light of this tragedy that we have all experienced, I want to make sure that I take some time to address kind of what the problem is. And everyone is in a state of mourning. The tragedy that I'm speaking of obviously is the death of Kobe Bryant and the other people that were on the helicopter. And as a matter of fact, I'll start there. The crash victims that are identified were 9 people: Ara Zobian, Peyton Chester, Sarah Chester, Christina Mauser, Alyssa Altabelli, Carrie Altabelli, John Altabelli, Gigi Bryant, and then of course Kobe Bryant. I wanted to take a time to actually read out all of their names because this tragedy, though it is a big world tragedy, is the impact was global, right? Because it was Kobe Bryant and because it was Gigi Bryant. But what about the other families that were impacted? And so I want to take a moment to say their names because I don't want them overlooked. Because even though the world is looking at what happened to Kobe and Gigi, those families that were impacted, their world, even though you and I may not have known them, was also impacted. So here's the problem with the tragedy. There's a problem that you have. And I used to have that same problem. I say I used to have it because I figured it out and I was able to do some inner work. Walk with me. November 30th, 2005. I just graduated from Grambling. I'm sorry, 2007. I just graduated from Grambling State University. I had just gotten over a divorce. I had just finally got a place to stay that belonged to me because I was homeless. I had just got a job. I was working at Grambling State University's lab school. So it's the elementary school that was on the campus of Grambling. And I had just figured out who I was to a degree, to a small degree. My grandmother, my biological grandmother, was sick in Grenada, Mississippi, so a couple-hour drive from Grambling. And my daughter was probably 2 years old, okay? And I'll never forget, my grandmother is the woman who I kind of attribute a lot of my upbringing to. She's the woman who kind of made me who I am. She's the one who taught me that, grit is everything. I saw her work hard every day. She worked at Nestle in Chicago for, I think, 30-something years. Like, my grandmother always worked hard. And I had a baby, and I used to send her pictures. And because of her failing health, she could no longer see very well. She was sick with glaucoma, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. She was sick with, did I say diabetes? Yeah. And so her vision started to fail her. And so I started off sending pictures like, regular 5x7 size pictures or 4x6 size pictures. And the problem was that is she would call and complain, or I would call her rather, and she would say, I can't see the picture. Now, the one thing that I wanted more than anything was for my grandmother to see my child. She was my firstborn at the time. And half the stuff that I was going through, she had no clue. Because I didn't want to stress her out and add, you know, fuel to the fire. She had her own things going on and was very ill and was being taken care of by her brother. And so I decided that I was going to take a trip. I was going to take a trip to Grenada on Friday as soon as I got off work. I already had the plan in my mind. I was going to pack the night before. As soon as I left work at 3 o'clock, I was going to get in my car, pick up my daughter, and then we were going to get on the road to head to Grenada, Mississippi, where she was. Early that morning, my eldest sister, my biological sister, she called me. But I missed the call because it was a regular day. I got up, I dropped my daughter off at daycare, and I went to work, and everything was normal. I was drinking my cup of coffee. I was waiting for my students to come into the classroom so that I can greet them, and everything was normal. And then once I got my students in their seats and they started their bell work, I realized my phone was blowing up. I'm talking about off the chain, blowing up, and I couldn't understand who was calling me this time of morning. I got to my phone, it was my sister. And before I can even get anything out of her, the sound, the pain, the distress in her voice, I knew that I had lost my grandmother. I knew that she was gone. Now, what I didn't share with you is prior to that, I talked to my grandmother, and we'd been talking, and I told her that I was coming. I like to think I was her favorite grandchild. She would say it, and I believed it. My sisters would get jealous. It was 4 of us who grew up in the house together, and I did whatever I could do to help my grandmother out. Whatever I could do. I love that lady like a fat kid love cake, okay? And it was disheartening to me that she was not herself and that this illness, these multiple illnesses that she was facing, was getting the best of her. So I was going to get to my grandmother. I was going to get to her. I was finally stable. I finally had everything figured out. I finally passed my teacher certification test. I finally got out of the, you know, got divorced. I finally had a place to stay. I was stable. I finally got a car with air conditioner because my daughter and I was riding around with a car in Louisiana, Ruston, Louisiana, with no air conditioner, you know, that kind of thing. And so I was stable. Now I had time to go and see her. So I told her I was coming. The last thing my grandmother said to me before we got off the call that day, which was 3 days prior to her passing, she said to me, "Don't come. Don't get on the road." I said, "Grandma, what you mean? We called it G-Man. What you mean don't get on the road? I'm coming. You can't stop me." She said, "Don't get on the road because I won't be here." Now, my grandmother was getting very frustrated. She was a very independent woman, very strong. She herself was a single mother for years. And yeah, she told me, "Don't come. I won't be here." Now, I couldn't process that. I thought she was frustrated, you know, bad day, that kind of thing. She wasn't there. I never got to see my grandmother. My grandmother never got a chance to meet her great-grandchild. My daughter never got a chance to meet her great-grandmother. So in case you missed all of that, I finally graduated from school. I finally got my divorce. I have this baby. I survived homelessness. You know, I have a car that works. I have a career. Everything is working for me now. Now I can go and see her. Let me make it plain for those of you who are still missing the point. Your problem is the same problem that I had way back in 2007. You think you have time, and you don't. You think you have time to do everything later or do everything tomorrow, and you don't. We just witnessed, the world just witnessed this freak tragedy accident, okay? And we're still saying that we're going to do something tomorrow or we're going to do something later. How much, you know, for me, you want a transformation tip? Today is Tuesday. Here's your tip. Stop putting off for tomorrow what you absolutely can do today. How many people have you told that you were going to pray for them and you didn't do it yet? You're going to wait till later? You couldn't take a moment right where you were and just say a quick prayer for them? How many times have you put your own dreams on pause or on delay, or have completely forgotten what your dreams are because you were always waiting for tomorrow? How many times have you not apologized to someone because you did them wrong and you know you did them wrong and you didn't apologize? How many times have you let your heart harden because you're waiting for an apology that you will not get? So let me just say that the apology isn't coming. Move on. Every day you're waking up waiting for an apology you won't get. Every day you're waking up to fulfill a dream that you're never going to fulfill if you keep waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't coming. Every day you're sitting around waiting to, reconnect with that distant family member. Let me tell you, let me share something else. I have been on this big journey trying to find my family. Because again, my grandmother passed. She was the en route to my family. I'm talking about the Smiths, the Lemons in Grenada, Mississippi. I had to seek these people out on Facebook to even figure out who I was. I waited all my life to try to figure this out. What do you keep putting off? What is it that you are so ready to give up because you're waiting for tomorrow? Tomorrow may not be here. So some of you may think like, yeah, this is just another video, talking about the Kobe Bryant situation. If you have gotten nothing from the whole entire situation, this is my belief. No man knows the time, the day, nor the hour. That's the word of God. We don't know when it's going to happen. But what I do know is that your purpose will be fulfilled before you leave this earth. Kobe Bryant's purpose was fulfilled. Is yours being fulfilled? Are you trying to figure out what your purpose is? Are you trying to walk in your purpose? Or are you waiting for tomorrow? Your problem is you think you have time and you don't. Every day that you wait, you are delaying what could have been yours last year, last month, last week, or yesterday. The only thing that you're guaranteed is what you had yesterday. Tomorrow isn't a guarantee. So the moment that you start operating in your right now will be the moment that you can take on and fully understand the capacity to which you have the capability to be everything that you've been called to be. Absent of the apology, absent of the relationship. What about those relationships that you need to let go of? You're just going to keep sitting there waiting around until what? You know that relationship has been over. Let it go. It's over. You're wasting time. But that's your biggest problem. You think you have time and you don't. So your Tuesday tip for today, your life transformation tip for Tuesday is to sit down, assess, evaluate, reevaluate, recalibrate, and figure out what is it that I've not been doing that I should have been doing years ago, months ago, last week. What am I missing out on? So yes, this tragedy with Kobe Bryant and Gigi and all the 9 victims that were involved in this helicopter crash, yes, it has impacted the world, but imagine how your world will be impacted if something were to happen to you and you didn't, and you had nothing in place. You left seemingly without fulfilling your purpose, with unresolved issues. You think you have time, but you don't. This is your Tuesday transformation tip. See you next week.